Ran just got snatched by some random stranger, but a little girl might be the one stepping into the real trap. Meanwhile, Conan is stuck on crutches, feeling totally helpless, but still desperately trying to save her. Who's pulling the strings here? And will Ran make it out before it's too late?
Case Whisper.
Once upon a time, the detective boys decided to tag along with the Mori family on a trip to the northern part of Hyogo Prefecture. They were heading to these hot springs that supposedly have healing waters to cure any ache and pain. But why did Conan of all people need this trip? Well, get this. Our little detective showed up leaning on a tiny crutch after twisting his ankle in the most embarrassing way possible. You know how he gets? The other day, walking home from school, he spotted Ran hanging out with Dr. Araid and totally froze up. He was so busy glaring and overthinking the situation that he didn't watch his step, slipped, and completely wiped out. So there he was, the genius detective, hobbling around with a super awkward smile on his face. Kogoro took Conan to the hot springs, while Mitsuhiko and Genta went off on a mission to stuff their faces with local food. Ran took the girls sightseeing. While chilling at the springs, Kogoro bumped into this freelance journalist named Koichi Yumoto. The guy was an absolute master at sucking up. He instantly recognized the great detective and showered him with so much praise that Kogoro ended up agreeing to an exclusive all-day interview. Meanwhile, while Ron was showing the girls around, Ayumi accidentally dropped her detective boy's badge. Ron, who was right behind her, picked it up and held onto it for the time being. As she hurried to catch up with Ayumi and Haibara, she bumped into a little girl walking the other way. The kid's backpack had her name embroidered on it, Haruna Tabuse. It was super obvious she was guarding that bag with her life. After she fell, she wouldn't let anyone get near her. Ran thought it was weird. This kid was barely older than Ayumi, so why was she wandering the streets alone? When Ron asked about her parents, Haruna teared up and just bolted before Ran could even finish her sentence. Naturally, Ran couldn't just let her run off, so she chased after her. What she didn't notice was a creepy shadow quietly tailing them. Back with the guys, once Kogoro and Conan finished up at the springs and met up with the rest of the crew, Conan immediately noticed Ran was missing and started stressing out. Mitsuhiko mentioned he saw her running past a shrine and actually managed to snap a random photo of her. When Conan zoomed in on the pic, his blood ran cold. Ran was chasing the little girl, and right behind them was a sketchy guy tracking their every move. Hearing about this guy, Genta suddenly blew up. Turns out, that exact same dude had bumped into him earlier, made him drop his ice cream after just one bite, and just walked off without apologizing. Conan tried calling Ran like crazy, but her phone was dead silent. Where in the world was Ran? And what did that shady stalker want? Conan was getting super frustrated. He figured if they could just track down the kid Ran was chasing, they'd find Ran too. While he was racking his brain for a plan, guess who shows up out of nowhere? Heiji and Kazuha. Having them around was like getting the ultimate backup. But it got even crazier. When Heiji looked at Mitsuhiko's photo, his eyes went wide, and he confidently dropped a bomb. That's the exact girl we came here looking for. Everyone just froze. Was this just a crazy coincidence, or was something way bigger going on? Heiji gave them the quick rundown. The girl is Haruna Tabuse, an 8-year-old whose dad runs a massive restaurant chain. She'd been missing since yesterday, so her dad, Shohei Tabuse, hired Heiji to help find her. Heiji dragged Kogoro and Conan along to meet the CEO. Right away, Conan noticed a guy standing next to the boss, Takeshi Kamachi, the director of the company's museum, and spotted a really weird stain on his pants. The CEO explained the whole mess. Yesterday afternoon, the museum was prepping for an exhibition. When the director went to check on things, he realized a sculpture was missing. Around the same time, Haruna, who had been playing at the museum, disappeared too. The CEO was out doing business, but rushed back and pulled some strings to get Heiji on the case. He mentioned the stolen piece was a statue called The Sun, made by a sculptor named Kaho Handa. Looking at the photo, the CEO confirmed the kid Ron was chasing was definitely his daughter. Kogoro pointed out the stalker in the photo, guessing he was the kidnapper. He figured Haruna escaped him, bumped into Ran, begged for help, and the two went on the run together. But the fact that Ran hadn't called was driving Conan crazy. Meanwhile, Kazuha was babysitting the detective boys. When Ayumi looked closer at the photo, she recognized Haruna's backpack. It was the exact same pink bag she'd been wanting to buy. The gang headed to the store that sells them, and the clerk confirmed Haruna was the only one who bought that specific bag recently. While snooping around, they bumped into a dolphin trainer named Yui Iruga. She told them a co-worker spotted Haruna near the aquarium, so Yui joined the search party. Haibara called Conan to drop this new intel. Hearing a lead about Ran, Conan wanted to sprint over there immediately, but Heiji talked him down. He reminded Conan that right now, he wasn't exactly the Sherlock of the century. He was a kid with a busted leg. Heiji told him to stay put and play Mission Control while he and Kogoro did the legwork. Following the clues, Heiji and Mori tracked their path. People on the street said Ran and Haruna were just casually sightseeing, not acting like they were running for their lives. Later, Haibara's group found an old family photo taken at the aquarium 3 years ago. The signature on the photo revealed that Haruna's mom was none other than Kaho Handa, the sculptor who made the stolen sun statue. Armed with this, Kogoro went back to grill the CEO about why he hid such a massive detail. The second his ex-wife's name came up, the CEO lost it, calling her a woman who ditched her family for her art. He claimed he didn't know where she was and didn't care, which is why he didn't bring her up. Conan hit him with the real question. If you hate her so much, why are you displaying her art in your museum? The CEO dodged the question and started spinning a theory that the stalker was actually Kaho in disguise, and that she brainwashed Haruna into stealing the statue. The CEO then pulled out a letter Kaho had sent Haruna, listing places they used to visit as a family. Heiji noticed Haruna was basically doing a nostalgia tour, hitting up all those exact spots. The CEO thought Kaho was waiting at one of them to get the statue, but Conan thought that was dumb. If she just wanted the statue, she'd only pick one meeting spot. Heiji soon realized something didn't add up. Haruna had gone to the Michiko Sagara Strawcraft Museum, but the letter said to go to the Prefectural Culture Hall. Haruna never went there. Mori guessed her next stop would be the hot spring station based on the letter. But nope, Haruna and Ran took the cable car all the way up to the mountaintop station and prayed at a shrine there. While Haruna was searching for something nearby, a shady guy jumped out of the bushes to snatch her. Ran instantly went into martial arts mode. Seeing Ran wasn't messing around, the guy went straight for Haruna's backpack. He ripped it open, only to find a basic dolphin plushie. Not what he wanted. He stormed off, and Ran chased him. But when she turned back to tell Haruna to call the cops, the guy whipped around and zapped her with a stun gun. When Heiji and Kogoro finally reached the mountain peak, they found Haruna passed out from fear, but no sign of Ran. The only reason they even knew to look there was thanks to Conan's brain. He realized the kanji for prefectural was way too hard for an 8-year-old to read, but the next character meant straw. So, little Haruna just went to the Straw Craft Museum instead. Using that same kid logic, Conan figured she'd skip the hot springs and go to the mountaintop. Seeing Haruna's empty bag, Conan realized she was the one who actually took the statue. The cops called Kaho, the mom, and she rushed to the hospital to check on Haruna. The second she crossed paths with the CEO, it was an all-out screaming match. Haruna, sick of the toxic drama, snuck out the window and vanished again. Through Haruna's flashbacks, we learn why Ran never called her family. She turned her phone off right in front of Haruna to prove she could trust her. Spending the day together, Haruna really bonded with her cool, big sister. They both knew what it felt like to have separated parents, but unlike Ran, who has a loving, if goofy, dad, Haruna's parents completely neglected her. Because Ran had protected her the whole time, Haruna broke out of the hospital to save her. Before taking off, the kidnapper had threatened Haruna, saying Ran would be in deep trouble if Haruna didn't do exactly what he said. Luckily, Conan was already 5 steps ahead and had Heiji track the kid. Meanwhile, Ran woke up tied up in some creepy location. She remembered she had Ayumi's detective badge in her pocket. She pulled it out and tried to call for help, but she was gagged and couldn't speak. Conan, however, heard a rhythmic tapping sound through the badge, like drums. He flipped through a tourist guide and saw that the only place playing drums at that hour was the old drum tower. Ran had to be close to it. The crew rushed to the area and heard people talking through the badge, mentioning a place called Kwanminzan. That narrowed it down. Conan was so stressed, he gripped the badge so hard it left a mark on his hand. Looking at that mark, everything suddenly clicked. He figured out the entire mystery right then and there. Heiji made it to Kwanminzan and ran straight into Haruna, but she freaked out, ran the other way, and hopped right into the stalker's car. Just then, Conan and Kogoro pulled up and yelled at their driver to step on it. But of course, a massive train blocked the road. Without even hesitating, Conan chucked his crutch and leaped over the barricade to keep chasing them, completely ignoring his busted leg. He was so focused on saving Ran that he pulled off what any doctor would call a medical miracle. Haruna eventually met up with her mom's friend, Michiko, to ask for a statue her mom had left with her. The stalker showed up, took one look at the statue, and lost his mind. He wanted the sun, not this one. Michiko explained that this piece and the sun were a matched set. You can't just take one, you need both. Right on cue, Conan arrived. Before he could do his big detective monologue, the dolphin trainer Yui walked out of the house. Turns out she's Michiko's sister. Yui totally recognized the stalker. The guy panicked and made a run for it. He spun around and literally tripped over Conan, who was standing at the door. Conan's ankle gave out again, and he crashed to the floor, but he quickly shot his hands out and grabbed the guy's legs to stop him. At the same time, Heiji managed to pull Ran out of the guy's car, and everyone grouped up at Michiko's place. When Ran caught her breath and saw the guy attacking Conan, she absolutely lost it. She delivered a devastating kick that knocked the guy out and sent his disguise flying. Kogoro rushed over to check on her, literally crying. The big reveal? The kidnapper was none other than Koichi Yumoto, that freelance journalist who was kissing up to Kogoro earlier. Yui vouched for him, saying he wasn't actually a bad dude. Koichi confessed. After Kogoro ditched him, some anonymous caller offered him a massive payday to track Ron and Haruna. He figured, hey, easy money, nobody gets hurt. So, Koichi wasn't the original stalker, he was just a hired pawn. When Mitsuhiko took that first photo of the stalker, Koichi was still busy flattering Kogoro. So, who was the real mastermind? Conan pointed the finger right at the museum director, Takeshi Kamachi. While going through the museum's inventory, the director found out there was a second statue meant to go with the sun, a piece called the Mother. He found out Haruna was desperate to put them together, so he made it easy for her to steal the sun, planning to follow her and swipe both statues once she found the second one. The director yelled for proof, and Conan pointed right at the stain on his pants. That stain was left by the first stalker when he bumped into Genta. Genta had spilled ice cream on his detective badge. When the director ran into him, the badge pressed against his pants, leaving a stain that perfectly matched the shape of the badge. Boom. Busted. Knowing he was caught, the director confessed. He'd been embezzling money from the museum and was in deep debt. He wanted to steal and sell both statues to cover his tracks. The cops dragged him away. Haruna then revealed she had hidden the sun in a locker at the mountaintop station. Finally, the mother and son statues were put together. The mother's hands weren't empty anymore, and the child finally had someone to hold on to. That was Haruna's real wish all along. She'd been hurting so much from her parents' divorce. She missed her mum, and her dad was always too busy working to care. Sadly, her parents were still too busy arguing to understand what their kid was trying to say. That is, until Ran totally snapped. She yelled at both of them, pouring out all the pain Haruna was feeling, which finally gave them a harsh reality check. In the end, the three of them hugged it out and became a family again. And that's how the case wraps up. See you in the next episode.